In this session, we'll discuss how to enter and maintain the Style Master records. Style Master is an important and mandatory element before you start transacting on the system. So to start entering your style codes, go to Master Data, select Style option. Now the form where you enter the style information will open up. First thing, you have to decide on a style code which usually reflects your internal style code or SKU number. The style code can be combined of an abbreviation that represents the commodity or the style group, followed by a numerical sequence number. The style code structure is by default accepting up to 12 characters alphanumeric and another 6 characters for the color code. So now I'll put dress 1, 2, 3, 4 as an example for a style code. Tap enter and then the system will ask you to add this style number if it doesn't exist from before. I'll choose add. The system will give you the ability furthermore to either copy from an existing style number or enter the style information from the beginning. I'll choose to enter the style information from scratch. Then now I'll fill in the style short description and the style long description. The style short description is printed in many of the standard reports and forms like the invoice, the sales order confirmation and many other reports. However, the long description accept or allow you for entering more detailed information on the style. So I'll put here the long description. And I'll move further to the General tab. In the General tab, the first thing you have to select is the size scale. And here you will have the opportunity to select the size scale setting that applies to that style. So here I'm gonna select women's size, and that means that every time you transact on this style it will automatically use the size scale selected on the style master. So in that case it's coming in size 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on. Pre-pack is an optional and you can choose the pre-pack to facilitate the data entry on the sales order. So this way you can have a preset quantity on each size scale which you can automatically use when entering the sales order in a pre-pack. For more details on how to maintain the size scale and the pre-pack, please refer to the master data size scale maintenance session. Now we'll move to the status field, and the status is by default active. However, if you no longer sell or deal with this style, you can switch it at any time to cancel status, or you can put it on hold in case if you just produce this style as a design, for example, and it's not yet in production, so you can put it on hold until it is activated. So I'm gonna choose active status. Domestic flag is either yes or no, and this is very important to determine the life cycle of the style. Either it's manufactured when I select domestic yes, or it's imported if I selected domestic no. As we will see later on in further sessions, this flag or this parameter affects the costing and the transactions entered on the style. So I'm gonna choose non-domestic. Then next option is the quality, which is by default first quality. However, you can code any style numbers and categorize them as second quality or damaged for the inventory purpose. So I'm gonna choose first quality. Next is choosing the default location warehouse that this style will be stored in. And here I'll have a drop down from the location warehouse codes. I'll choose the main warehouse. The system will alert you to add this style into that warehouse only in the first time, and going forward it will be available or allocated in that warehouse. Now in these drop downs you will have all the values entered for the season, for the division, for the style group, as we discussed before in the company setup codes. You can select from the existing values that you entered before, or you can choose to add a new value or a new code to the drop down, which automatically will open up or will take you to add a new entry for that specific code or drop down. So I'll choose for the season, I'll choose spring 2009. Likewise for the division, you can choose from the existing division codes, or you can click add new if the division that you want to add the style into is not available. So I'll choose women's wear. Similar for the style group, and the style group is kind of important to run statistics or reports based on the commodity, or what we call it in Aria, the style group. So you can categorize your item either as, for example, long gowns, cocktail dress, separates, etc., etc. So I'm gonna choose long gowns for this style group. Then the royalty, discount, and purchase group, those are actually optional fields that you can use or not based on the need. And similar to the season, you can add on the fly a code to any existing drop down. So I can add here, for example, a new royalty. I'll call this printed red flower, and when you hit OK, this royalty will be added to the drop down. So now the drop down values are entered either directly from here, or it can be entered from the codes file as explained separately in the related session. Next to this information, we'll have the option to check if this style is an inventory style or non-inventory. If the checkbox is checked, means the system will keep track of inventory transaction and will give you the total inventory at any given moment of that style. If the option is not checked, means that Aria will not keep track of any inventory transaction for that style. Detailed costing option will either turn on the cost sheet functionality for that style, or will simply give you the opportunity to enter the costing element directly from the style costing tab. So by default, this option is checked, means that you will have the opportunity to further enter a detailed style cost sheet for that style. Now underneath there is another group of information, like the lead time, how long this style is usually in average expected to be delivered by your supplier. Also the number or the quantity per carton, which will be used later on during the packing list, as we'll see in further more advanced sessions. And the unit weight in pound per each style, or per each unit from that style, what's the weight per unit. Finally, in the general tab, you can enter and maintain your price list, your selling price, and here in Aria you can add up to 3 different levels of pricing for the same item. So we have price level A, we have price level B, and we have price level C. You can furthermore specify each price level is given to the customer at what quantity level. So I can say quantity 100 will be sold at $130, quantity 150 and more will be sold at $140, and so on. Furthermore, you can have a retail price, which usually will be used as your default suggested retail price for that item. And if your company is set up to use multi-currency, you will have furthermore the opportunity to use or to indicate a foreign price in different currencies for that item. Keep in mind that this option will be available only in case if your company is set up from the beginning to use multi-currency feature. Now I'll move to the next tab, which actually the special tab. I'm gonna bypass the cut and sold tab, as we'll see later. The cut and sold tab will be used only for the inquiry purpose, as I'm gonna discuss later in this session. Special tab will have further information. Usually it's optional information, but you might need to keep track of such information only for the reference or for tracking this style. Like the contents, you can put what's the fabric contents of this item. So put 100% silk, let us say. You can put the commodity code, which can be another grouping or another number that you want to attach to this style. You can put the start date, when this style was produced or when it was started to be manufactured or imported, whatever, depending on the style type, and when the style is sold out and is no longer in inventory. Taxable, yes or no. This parameter will be available only in case if your company set up to use taxes on the invoice. So in that case you can identify what items are taxable versus what items are non-taxable. Commissionable, yes or no. If you want to keep track of the sales rep commission on the style level, then you can either indicate this style is commissionable or no. Then we have the quota category and the HTS US number, which basically information used by the customs in case of imported styles to keep track of the duty calculation and the HTS number assigned to this commodity or to this category of styles. So now we entered all the information here. Sales link code and cost link code, we are gonna discuss this later in advanced sessions when we talk about the general ledger and the link with the accounting side. Furthermore, you can choose what will be the styles that we'll use to transfer any second quality inventory or any damaged inventory from the current given style. This information is optional as well, and you can add it or not depending on the need. Consumer information, any further or additional comments or profiling for that styles that you would like to add, like we can put here dress gowns, for example. And you can finally add the vendor or the supplier information, the default vendor code. If that style is imported, you can choose what's usually the default vendor that you buy from, and the vendor item number, which represents the item number or the SKU number used by your vendor to deal with that style. So now we'll move further to the next tab in sequence, which is the packing information. And the packing information is basically used by the warehouse team or by the warehouse people to estimate or to see how this style is usually packed. So information available here is like information about the master pack and the inner pack of this style, how many pieces that usually packed in one master pack, what's the dimension of the master pack in inches, and height, width, length, etc. So you can maintain the dimension and the weight of your master pack. Likewise, you can maintain the same for the inner pack in case if your styles comes in poly bags or packages that are maintained and entered into the master pack. The same thing applies. You can put how many pieces in each poly bag or in each inner pack depending on the type. As you can see here, can choose the inner bag as poly bag or as carton. So I'll put poly bag and I'll skip the height, weight and width and so on. So this is the the packing information, which basically helpful information for the warehouse people to estimate the freight charges, to see how many pieces can fit in one carton and what is the dimension for each carton and so on. Now we'll move to the colors tab, which is very important, and it is mandatory to fill at least one color or more for any given style before you save it. And in the color tab you will have the opportunity to add new colors, which will open up the existing color codes as entered before in the company setup in the codes section. And you can here either scroll down to the required color, or you can simply use the incremental search function to simply locate the color code that you would like to add to this style. So I'm gonna click move to select the blue. I'll select the brown as well, and any other color that you would like to add or to assign to this style. You still can take out, if you selected by mistake any color, you can click remove, which will take it out from the selection, and you can put instead any other color from all the available color list. When you are done with your selection, click OK to apply. Now we will talk about the costing tab. Please keep in mind that the costing tab will be edited only if the detailed costing parameter is unchecked in the general tab. Now we will see that this style is marked as imported because we choose non-domestic in the general tab. The status is active, average cost is still 0, and now the costing element for this imported style will be editable, again because we choose non-detailed costing in the general tab. So simply here you will have the opportunity to fill in directly the style purchasing price. Gross price and purchase price both are editable. You can fill in the duty either as money wise or as percentage. If you put as money wise the duty, the system will calculate the percentage, and vice versa. If you put the percentage, the system will calculate the duty amount. Likewise, you can put the freight per unit and miscellaneous or any overhead cost per unit. Once you are done with entering all the costing elements for this imported style, the system will calculate the total dollars or the total cost per unit. And as we will see in further sessions, we will discuss how to input the detailed style cost sheet in case if we selected the style to be detailed costing. Once you review all the information and you are done with the entry of the style master record, click Save Modification button, and the system will save the new style into the database. Now to inquire an existing style, you can simply type it in the style field, or if you want, you can click the browse list to search and browse for the existing styles. So here I'm gonna use the incremental search and simply locate the style code that I would like to inquire. Tap enter to confirm selection. Furthermore, you will have the ability to inquire an existing style, or simply if you hit enter you will inquire the style all colors. Now to inquire the style transactions and the cut and sold information, go to the cut and sold tab. You will see here all the quantitative information have been populated and filled up for each piece of information or for each quantity type as indicated. So you will be able to inquire here the work orders, work in process, total inventory, available inventory, ordered quantity, open to sell, shipped, and return merchandise. To furthermore see the detailed transaction related to any of these quantity type, simply click the browse list button to the left of the information, and this will take you to a detailed list of all the transactions that resulted in the total number or in the total quantity displayed on the cut and sold. You can furthermore drill down into a third or a more detailed level by clicking apply selection on any given transaction. Click inquire, and that will take you to the related transaction. It will actually open up the related transaction, the related PO, the related cutting ticket, and so on, and that will give you a further detail about that specific transaction. When you are done with your inquiry, close the current form, and that will take you back to the style cut and sold screen, where you can inquire further more quantity types, and the same idea apply to any quantity type displayed on the screen. Like if you want to see the inventory in and out, you simply click the browse button, and that will give you a list of all the transactions in and out along with the details of this transaction. Same idea apply to any other piece of information like the sales order, the shipped, the return authorization, and so on and so forth. The cut and sold screen displays the information by size breakdown on the selected style color. You can also inquire on the location level, so you can simply click on the drop down and select the required location to view the information for. Now we'll talk about how to attach a picture or any type of documents to an existing style. Type in the style code that you would like to add the picture to. Tap enter to inquire the information. Then click on the style object link icon in the toolbar. Click new to insert a new file. Please note that Aria is capable to attach any or various type of documents to the style, like a PDF, Adobe Acrobat document, Excel sheet, etc., etc. So for adding a picture purpose, we will choose a paintbrush picture type, which is the most common bitmap or BMP file type. Click OK to accept the selection. Then when a new file is created, click the edit button to edit the existing picture. Now the system will open up the paintbrush, the regular Windows paintbrush. You can go to edit, paste from, and then you will have the opportunity using the Windows browser or the Windows Explorer to search for the source file from which you want to copy the picture from. So I'm gonna choose here a JPG file which contains the source or the original picture I want to attach to my style. Click open, and now the picture will be copied to this new bitmap file. To save the changes, click File, Update, then close the paintbrush screen, and now the picture is attached or linked to the style in Aria. If you close out of the object link form, the style will be shown in a minimized or in a thumbnail format, and if you want to maximize or to inquire the picture, simply click style object link again to see the picture in full.